When I switched to Pathfinder from D&D 5e, one of the things that struck me as strange was how small the bonuses are, and that bonuses don't stack if they're of the same type. And I was curious, it's like, why is that? I feel like the characters are not as powerful as they are in 5e because at level 1, you might get a boost of +1. At level 20, you might get a boost of +3. And it didn't seem to make sense why these numbers were so low. I got really thinking about what it meant in this system, and it occurred to me the reason they're so low is because of the +10 -10 for crit system. If you roll 10 or above, you critically succeed. If you roll 10 or below, you critically fail. But what does that actually mean when it comes to the raw numbers? So I came up with a few different examples, and I'm going to show them on the screen and kind of explain what my thought process is here and what the numbers actually look like. So what you see is a DC 15 with a +7 for whatever the skill is. It doesn't really matter. The DC is 15. You have +7 to your roll. In this scenario, you're going to critically fail 5% of the time if you roll a 1. You're going to fail 35% of the time if you roll a 2 to an 8. 45% success rate on a 9 to 17, and a critical success on a 18, 19, or 20. All in all, you're going to fail 40% of the time. You're going to succeed 60% of the time. So if we take that and we add a +1 to it. So we've got +7 to start with. We have +1, so a total of +8. What does that do to the numbers? Well, the critical fails don't change. Your failure rate goes down by 5%, but your success rate does not improve. Sort of. Your standard success rate does not improve, but your overall success rate does. Your critical success rate improves. So when you add +1 to this roll, you're going to have a +5% chance to critically succeed. So overall, you will fail 35% of the time. You'll succeed 65% of the time. But of those successes, you're improving your critical success chances. This is something that 5e doesn't have because you only crit on a 20. In this one, crit fail on 1, crit succeed on 20, plus if you have 10 or more or 10 or below. And I know it's not strictly a crit fail on a 1 or a 20, but I'm not going to discuss that in this. We're just talking about raw numbers for this one. Let's say it's +2. At this point, you have a total fail rate of 30%. And a total success rate of 70, you have a 25% chance to critically succeed and only a 25% chance to fail, standard fail. So as you see, for every +1, your critical success rate is what's improving. Your success rate, standard success, happens at a lower roll, but your overall success rate is added at the critical level. So when you add a +1, not only are you increasing the likelihood that you're going to succeed, you're increasing the likelihood that you're going to critically succeed, which is something that 5th edition didn't have. Now, I'm using DC 15, which is fairly low and pretty easy to do. So what happens if we crank the numbers up a little bit? And let's say we're going to use DC 25 and we're going to keep our +7. You have a much higher chance of failure here. It's 85% chance to fail, 15% chance to succeed, with only a 5% chance to crit succeed. So you add +1 to that. Your overall failure only goes down by 5%, but what it does is that 5% comes out of your critical failure category. So you probably are going to see similar numbers of fails, but you're slightly less likely to critically fail. You're not adding to your critical success by any means, but you do have a better chance to succeed and a better chance to not critically fail. And you can see the same thing for the +2. Your critical fail chance goes down again, where your success chance goes up. Now, what I got out of this is when there's DCs that you are likely to be able to hit on average, let's just say 15 with a +7, or if you had 20 with like a +8 or 9 or +10, something that's just an average, not super difficult, not super easy, the chances of a normal success are not really going to change. It's the chances of a critical success that will change. And when you look at DCs that are really, really hard to hit, the chances of a normal failure are not going to really change, but your chances of not critically failing will change with the pluses. So that's really why the numbers are so low, because if you had like +5, +7, you're all of a sudden adding +25, +30% chance to crit, which would break everything. One example I can think of is the Bless spell. In 5e, Bless gives a character plus 1d4, you roll it and you see what they get. In Pathfinder, it is a standard +1 to everybody around the caster. So everyone within range of the caster, basically, if it's a reasonable DC, has a +5% crit chance. If you did the other way, the way 5e does it, you would have somewhere between a 5 and a 20% crit chance. Plus 20% crit chance pretty much can end the fight immediately. So that's one of the reasons for the smaller numbers. The other thing is the +1 does more than just I have +1 chance to hit. It is I have +1 chance to critically hit or +1 chance to not critically fail. So not only is it lowering the number you need to succeed, it's also adding the extra chance to crit, which is something I think that gets overlooked. So the +1 is doing more than one thing. It's lowering the chance to hit, it's lowering or succeed, lowering the chance to critically, or it's lowering the chance to succeed, but it's also increasing your chance to critically succeed. And on the flip side, it is lowering your chance to fail and lowering your chance to, well, it's lowering your chance to critically fail and increasing your chance to succeed. So yes, +1 doesn't look very good. +3 at level 20 doesn't look very good. But when you look what they do, they actually have a much bigger impact than you would see in 5e.